So we got the first wave of 1057 spoilers here, and this chapter is interesting, but also very polarizing, I suppose. And I don't know if it's necessarily going to like split the community, but there's going to be some sort of divide for sure, because there's like a big swerve that happens in this chapter that at least I didn't really expect, and I'm mostly confused by it. But when we get to it, I'll give my thoughts. Momonosuke and Kinemon, along with Yamato, say goodbye to Luffy and his gang. So this makes sense because it was kind of leading to this, I suppose. Not so much the with Yamato in parenthesis, and I'll get to that, but in the previous chapter we saw things wrapping up for the most part. All the notable characters were kind of conversing with each other about what had happened or what is going to happen. And then it came to a point of where we went a few days into the future, and we saw Momonosuke like going around the castle looking for like Zoro, and it turns out that Zoro along with the rest of the Straw Hats were just gone, and Momonosuke like ran around the castle like looking for them, and he wound up asking Hiyori, like, hey, where are the Straw Hats? And she said they left already. They said their goodbyes to everyone this morning. And then we see him meet up with Kinemon, and Kinemon's like, I just learned that myself. They said their goodbyes to everyone else, but why not us? And that was peculiar because the Straw Hats have been with Momonosuke and Kinemon for the longest by far. Like, we wound up meeting these characters at the beginning of Punk Hazard. So like in real time, we've been with these characters for like years at this point. Hey, also guys, if you like my One Piece content, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're probably getting a full summary in the next couple days, and as soon as we do, I'll make a video on that, so subscribe for that. Thanks. So it's nice that we're at least getting this little moment here in this chapter where they actually do say goodbye to Luffy and the rest of the Straw Hats, because it's much needed, but I guess Oda was just trying to build up some suspense or something. I guess he just wanted to have that little will they won't they moment for some reason. And this isn't the beginning of Oda's confusing writing, because also at the end of the previous chapter, when Momonosuke and Kinemon were looking for the Straw Hats, they assumed that Yamato was gone as well. No, it turned out that Yamato was actually on the roof of the castle, and she said, well, I've made up my mind. Guess I'll go to Luffy and his crew. I'm going to live the way Kozuki Oden did. And that made us think a few things for sure. And that brings us to the next spoiler here. Yamato will not leave with Luffy and the rest. We'll travel through Wano and later go out to sea. So yeah, that's it. Yamato's not joining the Straw Hats. And I'm not mad at it or anything. I'm just confused because there was like build up for this. I mean, not like a lot, but it was implied multiple times that Yamato was pretty much going to join the crew, right? I assume I'm not the only one who thought that. I mean, it was almost hammered home in chapter 1051 when Yamato met up with the Straw Hats. And she said, at any rate, I'm going to be joining you on your ship. I'm Kozuki Oden, otherwise known as Yamato. Nice to meet you. But Jinbei, the sensible one, was like, it's nice of you to invite yourself aboard, but it's the captain who decides that. And, I thought that was just ultimately leading to Yamato and Luffy having their whole, can I join? Or yes, you can join, or come on my ship, whatever that moment that Luffy has with the future Straw Hats, or most of the time. And then of course, going back to the end of the previous chapter where she's like, I guess I'll go to Luffy and his crew. I'm going to live the way Kozuki Oden did, which, kind of implies that she's going to join a pirate crew, because that's like, one of the big things that Oden did. I mean, it's not obviously the only thing that he did. He did many things in his life prior and afterwards, but all of this just made it seem like Yamato was going to join the crew, but no, she's not, and she's just going to travel through Wano and then later go out to sea. So like I said, I'm just confused by this. Why the build-up just for it to be swerved and it just not to happen in kind of like an anticlimactic way? And it's not like I necessarily really want Yamato to be on the crew, because to be honest, I don't really think Yamato's that interesting of a character. Just the novelty of her joining the crew would have been cool, and it would have made it more balanced between the males and the females on the crew. Not that there necessarily has to be more, but it just would have been nice. And she's pretty powerful, so that would have been cool to have like another commander under Luffy who is worthy of that status. But technically Jinbei did just kind of join the crew too, at least within like the actual timing of the story, even though it's been like a while to us, and for the most part we always assumed that Jinbei was going to join the crew since Whole Cake regardless. I would much rather have Jinbei over Yamato, of course, but also considering that Wano was so long, it just would have been nice to at least get 2 crew members out of it, rather than just, you know, typically one that we would get in like a big arc or something. And also, it's the final saga, so just load the Straw Hats up. And I'm sure, you know, Yamato will eventually come around for the ending too. I'm sure every single character that is somewhat important will be there at the end. I mean, that's definitely in Oda's wheelhouse. But let me know what you think about Yamato ultimately not joining the crew in the comments, guys. Luffy hands his flag to Momonosuke. Luffy tells Momonosuke, Kinemon, and Yamato that he will come to find them the moment they want to sail to sea. So this is, you know, ambiguous. It could mean, you know, setting up for the final arc, or it could just mean like after the series is pretty much over. Luffy, Law, Kid, and their gangs leave Wano. So yeah, also at the end of the previous chapter, we saw Luffy, Kid, and Law kind of like establishing the routes that they're going to leave. They basically all wound up picking a different route on the log pose. I mean, it makes sense since there's 3 of them and there are 3 routes. Kid wound up going east. Luffy lost his bet, so he had to go southeast, and Law went northeast. I'm not really sure if you're able to like figure out exactly where they could be going, because the geography of the One Piece world is difficult to figure out. I mean, you could put it together yourself, of course, and you get a rough idea, but I'm not really sure where they're all individually headed. But I wouldn't be surprised if Luffy winds up heading to Elbaf next, because that is something that inevitably needs to happen for sure. And I expect it to be, you know, like a short arc, kind of the way that Zoe is, because, you know, it's also implied that Joy Boy was a giant, so that's probably going to come into play. You know, we have the Atom Tree, which is very likely there. We have the Usopp stuff with the giants, and Prince Loki. At the end of the chapter, Momonosuke wonders where they should place the flag, so maybe that's going to come back into play too. So the Straw Hats protecting Wano, maybe somebody's going to come to Wano and see that like that's Luffy's territory now or something, maybe, I don't know. End of Act 3 at the end of Wano. So there we go. This is finally the big end of Act 3 moment, which people have been literally speculating for like the last 2 years now. Like, we thought end of Act 3 was going to happen after Kaido defeated Luffy for like the 3rd time. But no, this is finally the end of Act 3, and Wano is officially over, which I'm ready for, because it's been 4 years at this point. This has been the longest arc in One Piece, so you know, it's nice to just finally move on at this point. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the video, guys. Let me know what you think about these spoilers in the comments, and if you like the video, please give it a like and please subscribe if you haven't already. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.